Good morning, all. Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Um, Today we'll have a look at a topic, perhaps the most important topic, climate change, and behind that the greenhouse effect and the global warming, and ozone layer depletion. So climate change, it's a vast topic, and very briefly we'll go through this. Uh, I believe that most of you will know something about something or other about climate change. Perhaps in the earlier classes you would have studied, or from the media you would have learned something. So whatever knowledge you have got, we will be adding a little to that. And ozone layer depletion was something which we managed to solve to some extent. We'll have a look at ozone layer depletion first, and then we will have a look at greenhouse effect, global warming, and climate change. I'll quickly go through it. Perhaps you would have learned about it. And this ozone is present in the atmosphere. If you look at the structure of the atmosphere, at the lower layer, around up to 10 kilometer, we will call it as troposphere. Above that, up to 50 kilometer, around we call it a stratosphere. Above that, mesosphere and thermosphere. And the temperature changes like this. In the troposphere, when you go up, normally the temperature will come down. That is why you go to a place like Ooty or somewhere, the temperature comes down. But about 10 kilometer, when you go up, the temperature will be increasing. And the stratosphere is the place where normally ozone is found. And ozone is formed in the atmosphere as a result of some reaction of oxygen with UV rays from the sun. And we don't want ozone at the troposphere. At the ground level, if we have ozone, it is air pollution. In the air pollution, you have seen ozone is a secondary air pollutant, and we will have pollution issues if you are in if you are having ozone in ground level. But we want ozone in the stratosphere, which will be protecting us from the UV rays. It will be filtering the UV rays to some extent. So please be careful about it. We don't want ozone at this level, but we want ozone here. If you have ozone here, it is called air pollution, and here if you don't have ozone, it is ozone hole. And how does ozone forms in the atmosphere? Ozone forms as a layer in the atmosphere. Layer in the sense there is a region in the stratosphere where you have got considerable concentration of ozone. And this ozone forms by some reaction, and the reactions are called Kalman reactions, where the oxygen present in the atmosphere plus H nu. This is nu. I could not insert the exact symbol for that. The energy from the sun's wave will split the oxygen into nascent oxygen, and this nascent oxygen will combine with the oxygen and will form ozone. Okay, we were discussing about the ozone layer formation in the atmosphere, and the ozone. Somebody is knocking again. Okay, okay. Ozone layer in the stratosphere forms as a reaction of UV rays with oxygen. Oxygen will be split into nascent oxygen. Nascent oxygen combines with oxygen. Again, you get ozone. That is how you get oxygen. And at the same time, this UV rays could split the ozone into oxygen again. So this is a reversible reaction. This will be keep on happening there. The creation and destruction of ozone will be happening in the atmosphere, and at any given time there has to be some considerable amount of ozone present there. And these are the diagrammatic representation of how the chlorofluorocarbons affect the ozone. First we'll see the reactions, then we'll come to the diagram. How does this ozone getting destroyed because of some chemicals that is getting released in the ground level? Ozone is being destroyed because of the release of chlorofluorocarbons, or in short CFCs. Okay, CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, mostly in the northern hemisphere. Mostly in the northern hemisphere this happens. And why it is happening only in the northern hemisphere mostly, it's little complicated. If time permits, we'll have an explanation for that. These spread throughout the world and diffuse into the stratosphere, where they broken down to to release chlorine. So this chlorofluorocarbons, if it is released here, it could get into the atmosphere, and it could destroy the ozone in the ozone layer in the stratosphere. What is this chlorofluorocarbons? This chlorofluorocarbon is a group of compounds which contains chlorine, fluorine, of course carbon molecule also, and these chlorofluorocarbons were invented in the 1920s. That time they thought that, okay, this is a very great invention, because chlorofluorocarbons were very inert and which could be used as refrigerants, and it could be used in the spray cans in the sense whether it is perfume or the paint which you want to spray. Inside that, in order to pressurize that, they were using chlorofluorocarbons. And these chlorofluorocarbons were very inert, which will not undergo decomposition at the ground level. So they thought that it's a wonderful compound which could be used very much beneficial to the mankind, and people started using it extensively for refrigeration as well as for spray cans, for paint and other materials. Anything you want to spray, you compress that material along with the CFCs in the case, which will stay there without any decomposition in a stable manner for a long time. But the problem is that this chlorofluorocarbons will go into the atmosphere. It's a stable compound, so it will remain stable and it will go up into the stratosphere without any decomposition. That is an advantage and disadvantage. Initially, we thought that the stability of the compounds of chlorofluorocarbons were very good for us, which can be used for many useful purpose on the ground level. But the problem is that if you accidentally release it from the, or purposefully from the spray cans or from the refrigerators, if it is released, then it will go to the upper atmosphere without any decomposition, because it's a stable thing. And when it goes to the upper atmosphere, to the stratosphere, there it will be broken down by the UV rays again, and you will get chlorine. And this chlorine could react with the ozone, and which will form some compounds, chlorine and oxygen again. This is the reaction, chlorine plus ozone, what happens. So by this reaction, the ozone in the stratosphere could be destroyed. Already there is ozone getting created, ozone getting destructed by the UV rays, and there was an equilibrium there. But to that equilibrium, if you are adding chlorine, if chlorofluorocarbons goes there, and if chlorine is released, chlorine will further destroy the ozone there. As a result, the concentration of ozone present in the stratosphere will come down, and it has come down. That is how ozone holes started forming. And when the ozone layer become thinner, or when the concentration of ozone in the stratosphere is less, more UV rays will reach the ground, earth, and this could cause a lot of issues, like which could cause some genetic damage to all living beings, and which could finally result in increased skin cancer and so on. So we wanted to repair this hole. We wanted to make sure that the ozone concentration remains there in the top. So for that, we banned this use of chlorofluorocarbons, and because of that, nowadays you will see that we never use chlorofluorocarbon. It's a banned substance. Earlier days, we were using a common refrigerant called Freon in refrigerators and in air conditioners. Nowadays, Freon is not there. It's a banned substance. It's a chlorofluorocarbon. And this is a reaction from the houses, from the cities. When these chlorofluorocarbons are released from the older refrigerators or from the spray cans, it will go to the upper atmosphere, and sunlight breaks the chlorofluorocarbons in the stratosphere, and you get chlorine gas there, which will be breaking the ozone or destroying the ozone. And these are the chlorofluorocarbons, common CFC11, CFC12, and these were the commonly used one, which we have banned now. And how the ozone is measured in the atmosphere? Ozone is measured in by a unit called Dobson unit. Dobson units are measured by how thick the layer of ozone would be if it were compressed into a one layer at 0 degrees centigrade and with a pressure of 1 atmosphere above it. Every 0.01 millimeter thickness of the layer is equal to 1 Dobson unit. So this is the measure of the thickness of the ozone layer in Dobson unit. The average amount of ozone in the stratosphere across the globe is around 300 Dobson unit. That was the original value. And whenever the concentration goes down, and if it goes below 200 Dobson unit, it is called a formation of a ozone hole. So 300 is a normal value. Whenever it goes below 200, you can say it's a ozone hole. And how does the Antarctic ozone hole form? So there is a little extra explanation. If time permits, go through it. It may not be required. And in the northern hemisphere, what happens? And if you look at this ozone hole in the southern hemisphere, you see that it goes up to 100 also, Dobson unit. If the screen is visible to you, normally it will be around 300. This somewhere between green and yellow. Yellow means really good, and if it is going to the blue means its concentration is less, 100 Dobson, 150 Dobson, 200 Dobson and all. So this area you can say it's a ozone hole where the concentration of ozone in the stratosphere is less. And this is another representation. And impact of ozone depletion. Ultraviolet radiation from the sun can cause skin cancer, eye cataract, and a reduction in the the ability to fight off disease. Our immunity also could be affected. And UV radiation could be damaging to the microscopic life in the oceans, and it can affect the climate also. And by the Montreal Protocol, the countries of the world under United Nations agreed that we will ban, or we will reduce, or we will phase out the usage of chlorofluorocarbons. And India is also a signatory, and we have followed that. We have almost achieved the targets. As a result, the ozone depletion has come down and it is slowly recuperating. And as on 21st September 2020, this is the status of ozone. In the web, there are many sites which will be giving the current status and videographic representations. And you can see that the concentration is there is hole still. You can see there is some places where you have got concentration like nearly 200. But earlier days it was up to 100 also, but now it has slightly recuperated. So that is about ozone hole. So in this one, what you have to remember is that ozone is present in the upper atmosphere, in the stratosphere. In the stratosphere, ozone is forming by the reaction called Chapman reaction, by the reaction of UV rays with oxygen. And it is getting created as well as destroyed in that level. And there is some amount of ozone present there. Normally, we will have around 300 Dobson unit. But a compound called chlorofluorocarbons, which was invented in 1920s, extensively used as a refrigerant and in the spray cans in firefighters, or spraying paint or perfumes and all they were using. And if it was released here, it will go into the upper atmosphere where it will get decomposed and chlorine will be released. And this chlorine will be reacting with ozone and ozone will be destroyed. So that has caused the reduction in the ozone concentration in the atmosphere, and ozone hole was forming. And for that, we have decided to ban that, and we have taken action, and as a result, the concentration is recuperating now. That is about the ozone hole. And what are the impact of ozone hole also you should know. What will happen if there is ozone hole? It will affect especially the living beings. More UV will be reaching, which will cause more skin cancers and eye cataract and other diseases. And the protocol, the international agreement to fight or to phase out the usage of CFCs is Montreal Protocol. That also please remember. Now we'll come to the greenhouse effect, global warming and climate change. And the terms all are interconnected. Greenhouse effect is a natural physical phenomenon. The term comes from the fact that in European countries, in order to protect the vegetation, flowers, vegetables, etc., during the winter season, they used to keep it in a greenhouse. Even in some places in India where the cold climate is there, flowers and vegetables, are protected within a greenhouse. That is a glass house in which this green vegetation is kept. And if you keep it in a glass house, what happens is whenever there is a little sunshine, the sunshine will get inside, and it will maintain some warmth inside that. So you will feel that when you are inside a car, if the glass is closed and if there is no AC, inside will become hotter than outside. Because what happens is sunlight, when it is coming through the glass, the entire radiation will get inside, and after getting reflected from the inside material, seat and human beings, when it is getting reflected, some energy is absorbed by the incident portion, and what you get reflected is long wave radiation, usually the IR range, infrared range, the heat wave radiation. This cannot go out. So the combined radiation can come inside, but it cannot go outside after, because after getting reflected from the surface, the wavelength changes. It becomes long wave. This long wave cannot escape through the glass. As a result, this heat radiation will get trapped inside the glass house. So that is why the glass house were used for protecting the vegetation and flowers during the winter months by maintaining some warmer climate inside. Because of that, it has got the name greenhouse, and the effect is called greenhouse effect. And this greenhouse effect on a large scale is happening at global scale. For the earth, the glass is, instead of glass, you can consider the atmosphere. The atmosphere, atmospheric gases, it is like a glass. So instead of glass, you are having certain gases of the atmosphere, especially carbon dioxide. If too much of carbon dioxide is there in the atmosphere, then the greenhouse effect will be more heat will be trapped inside. As a result, the globe could become warmer. That is called global warming, because of the greenhouse effect caused by the Earth's atmosphere, especially due to the presence of higher concentrations of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere. The globe is getting warm by greenhouse effect, and that phenomenon is called global warming. And this, if this global warming is taking place, it could affect the climate systems, and if the climate systems are affected, then life could become very difficult to survive on this planet. That is a theory. That is why they say there is a climate change. And the indicators of climate change are that most of the places in recent decades, in the summer, the highest temperature recorded is higher than any other previous times. So record temperatures are recorded everywhere, even in Europe and other places also. And that is one indication Earth is becoming warmer. Second thing is that the glaciers, the ice is getting melted. And if this ice is getting melted, and if it is getting into the sea level could rise. That is one issue which will submerge many of the countries. Even already some of the countries are totally submerged. Even small island country called Tuvalu, it is near I think it is near Australia. I think already people are evacuating there. So that country is existing only in the, I mean, internet. They say internet. The extension is TU. Like we have got IN, vjec.ac.in. We call. Likewise, there only some TU or something is extension. That is only remains of that country. It is only there in the internet. Now the country is getting submerged, or slowly the island is inhabitable, in the sense there is no clean water, because the sea level is rising, all the groundwater becomes salty, people will have to vacate. So this could happen to other places, especially the coastal region of the Kerala also could affect it. And so entire Earth could get affected. That is a theory. So some people are, I mean, even still not believing that, even though we have got enough of scientific data to prove that there is climate change and the global warming is causing that. It is because of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And this carbon dioxide is coming from the burning of fossil fuels, because after the industrial revolution, mankind started burning fossil fuel, coal, and petroleum products, and this has resulted in an increased amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So the greenhouse effect is a naturally occurring process that aids the heating of the Earth's atmosphere, surface and atmosphere. The heating of the ground is by sunlight causes the Earth's surface to become a radiator of energy in the long wave band, the IR band, infrared. This emission of energy is generally directed to space. However, only a small portion of this energy can actually reach back to space. The majority of the outgoing infrared radiation is absorbed by a few naturally occurring atmospheric gases known as greenhouse gases. Don't think carbon dioxide is the only greenhouse gas, but that is a major gas that is contributing to the maximum amount. Other than that, there are many other gases. And this is a graphical representation. Incoming solar radiation, and what happens is that it is reflected by the atmosphere some percentage. Clouds will reflect some of it, earth will reflect some of it, and some will be absorbed here. That is a usual status, and some will be absorbed by the clouds. And this is the earth atmosphere. You can see this is the layer, and sun's radiation is coming here. Some portion will go away, but some portion, after hitting here, the longer wave radiation, when it is trying to escape back to the outer space, it cannot go. The greenhouse gases in the atmosphere will send it back. It will reflect it back. So as a result, more heat will get accumulated on the surface of the earth, and earth's atmosphere will become warmer because of the greenhouse effect. That is called global warming. And these are the major greenhouse gases. GHGs, greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, chlorofluorocarbons. Even this chlorofluorocarbons is a greenhouse gas, which was actually affecting the ozone layer. And the tropospheric ozone. If we have ozone at lower level in the Earth's atmosphere as a pollutant, that also could act as a greenhouse gas. But the major thing is carbon dioxide and methane. Methane, the major amount of methane is coming from decomposing matter, especially if you have got a lot of cattle population. All the cow dung could decompose and you will get methane. And that is why at one stage, even developed country was telling the greenhouse gas is caused by the cows in India, because India has got a large number of cattle population. Even though the milk production is less, the number of cattle is very high. So the number of cattle in India is contributing to greenhouse effect and global warming and climate change, somebody was telling. But much more than that, the fact is that much more than that, the carbon dioxide emission due to the increased consumption of fossil fuels, especially the petroleum products and coal is causing this carbon dioxide, and which causes the greenhouse effect, global warming and climate change. And the effects of global warming, which will affect the water resources. Water availability could become a problem. Coastal resources, if there is a sea level rises, coastal resources will be affected. And even the climate change will be affecting the health, energy and transportation. It could be affecting oceans, ocean level rising, vegetation pattern will change. See, it's a huge list of impacts. I'm sure you would have seen some of the movies which describes this. There is a movie which came long back called An Inconvenient Truth by the previous, ex-US Vice President Al Gore. He has taken the initiative and produced a movie called An Inconvenient Truth. If you can find that movie, it is freely available for downloading, even though it is a very old one, but which explains very well this phenomenon. So it is compulsory that you should watch such a movie to understand this effects of climate change. The number one could be Inconvenient Truth, and number two, there is a BBC series which came in 2019, which explains about the climate change. That is another important area. And the third one is from National Geographic. National Geographic also gives out a lot of series of videos on climate change. And the solution for global warming, the simple solution is that we should not emit greenhouse gases. We should cut down on the use of fossil fuels, and we should switch over to alternate forms of energy resources, especially renewable energy, solar and windmills and other things. If you are switching over, then the emission of carbon dioxide will come down, and you will have to capture whatever carbon dioxide is already emitted. One possibility is that you should have more trees planted. That is in a way carbon sequestration. They call it carbon sequestration. Of course, other techniques are there to capture carbon dioxide chemically from the atmosphere. But the easiest way could be you plant more trees. Trees will be taking carbon dioxide and converting it into its own body cells. Okay, I think these are some of the information on this, and I think I can show you a 3 minutes video on climate change. There are a number of videos, but perhaps this one could be to some extent useful, I believe. Let me see whether it is there. I hope it will be audible to you.
Human activities, from pollution to overpopulation, are driving up the Earth's temperature and fundamentally changing the world around us. The main cause is a phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect. Gases in the atmosphere, such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons, let the sun's light in, but keep some of the heat from escaping, like the glass walls of a greenhouse. The more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the more heat gets trapped, strengthening the greenhouse effect and increasing the Earth's temperature. Human activities, like the burning of fossil fuels, have increased the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere by more than a third since the Industrial Revolution. The rapid increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has warmed the planet at an alarming rate. While Earth's climate has fluctuated in the past, atmospheric carbon dioxide hasn't reached today's levels in hundreds.
I hope it is audible. Is it audible? The video, is it visible and audible?
Yes.
Okay. See, you can see that here the concentration of carbon dioxide they are talking about, it was around 280, and today you can see it has gone to 400. In the past, it was never near this concentration.
Hundreds of thousands of years. Climate change has consequences for our oceans, our weather, our food sources, and our health. Ice sheets, such as Greenland and Antarctica, are melting. The extra water that was once held in glaciers causes sea levels to rise and spills out of the oceans, flooding coastal regions. Warmer temperatures also make weather more extreme. This means not only more intense major storms, floods, and heavy snowfall, but also longer and more frequent droughts. These changes in weather pose challenges. Growing crops becomes more difficult. The areas where plants and animals can live shift, and water supplies are diminished. In addition to creating new agricultural challenges, climate change can directly affect people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates an environment that traps and increases the amount of smog. This is because smog contains ozone particles, which increase rapidly at higher temperatures. Exposure to higher levels of smog can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. While the rapid rate of climate change is caused by humans, humans are also the ones who can combat it. If we work to replace fossil fuels with renewable energy sources like solar and wind, which don't produce greenhouse gas emissions, we might still be able to prevent some of the worst effects of climate change.